To say that Donald Trump is racist is the craziest thing I've heard.
Donald Trump was,
Have you ever met Donald Trump personally? What's your next example of Trump being a racist?
When he reposted the Obamas as monkeys.
Now, he did not, he already said that he did not post that. It was somebody on his staff, and the post wasn't even about that. That was a real,
it was on his account.
And then when it came out, he denounced it. He said it was wrong.
It was on his account already.
One of the staffers posted it.
Why would one of his staffers even have that? Even if it wasn't him,
you were making the post sound like the post was about that. It was a meme created by somebody else. And
are you really defending depicting black people as monkeys? Like, that's crazy.
And Hillary Clinton.
That's crazy.
And Hillary Clinton was a pig. And it was all kind of people depicted as animals. It wasn't just about Barack Obama. Did Donald Trump make the video?
Has any other president done that
Did Donald Trump make the video?
Has any other president done that ever?
You're blaming him. Did Donald Trump make the video?
I don't know if he made it, but it doesn't matter. It's about what he posts.
Did he denounce what that represented?
If I posted something that said, kill all of X people.
Okay, so this debate that happened between Officer Tatum and 20 black liberals is a true IQ test in America, particularly with the black community, in my opinion. So we're going to get into it and react. And of course, they had to make room for the question, is Donald Trump racist? Because one of the claims that Officer Tatum said is he doesn't believe that Donald Trump is racist. I think me and you both know for a fact that he is not, especially if you factor in what happened before he became president and how much he did for the black community. But that's a whole nother thing, right? So let's go to this exchange and react to it.
To say that Donald Trump is racist is the craziest thing I've heard.
Donald Trump
have you ever met Donald Trump personally?
No.
You don't know him?
No, so you've met Donald Trump.
I've met Donald Trump several times.
So you're basing whether or not he's racist just on your
You don't have any evidence. You're saying because he allegedly got rid of some desperate impact analysis that somehow it has something to do with race and it only affects black people.
But your evidence is anecdotal. Oh, Trump was nice to me one time, therefore he's not a racist.
I have no evidence to believe that Trump is a racist.
Because you are
Where's the evidence that Trump is a racist?
All right, let's stop. Okay. What I would actually push back on her about is, how do you know he's actually racist, though? Like, you can speak to a case where he was sued and he had to settle. That doesn't make him racist. This is the part that liberals refuse to accept, obviously. They think anytime someone is criticized, they aren't able to accomplish whatever particular goal, they can't get to where they want to go to, it has to be about racism. And most of the time, it doesn't. Just because you make a bad policy choice doesn't make you racist. And here's the other thing. They use the word racism so much, it has no meaning anymore. Like, according to their logic, everything's racist. I mean, everything. So if everything's racist, nothing is racist.
When does systemic racism stop in America?
I don't think there was real systemic racism.
Ever? Keep going, please keep going. I would love for you to go for the rest of this time on that.
I do not believe that there's been systemic racism in America that's been a primary reason why black people cannot succeed.
Right, but you can't prove that there's an epidemic of personal responsibility. You can prove that there's an epidemic of systemic racism.
No, look.
And that's why I'm asking you, when did it stop? Because theoretically, that should be the moment when we're all equal.
Are you saying that black people are not responsible for the decisions that they make?
I'm saying everyone has agency. Everyone commits crime. Everyone does everything.
Exactly.
But people have had lived in different circumstances.
So therefore, if you do the right things like you did, you have an opportunity to be successful.
If you could go back in time and buy oil before the world relied on it, would you do that? Answer it. Of course you would. Anyone would. And it's happening all over again with silver. Let me give you an example. Not only is silver a precious metal, but it's a critical resource used in solar panels, electric vehicles, defense systems, data centers, AI infrastructure. That's huge. And we already know the data centers are going to continue to explode. So while the demand keeps growing, I think it's time to get educated and speak with the experts at Noble Gold Investments. Go to darkinsgold.com, learn how easy it is to own physical silver. That's darkinsgold.com. Own the metal that the future will depend on.
Which is equal to just about anybody else, no matter what color you are. You think white people are better than you?
No, but I worry you do.
Why do you think I do? I'm the one that's saying that black people have an opportunity to be successful in this country just as well as anybody else. You don't believe that. So you think white people are better than you.
Your prompt perhaps could have been, we should do more to prevent crime and poverty in black communities, right? That's a way of framing.
I think Brandon is a great guy, by the way. I do know him personally. He's helped me out a lot, especially as a person who's new to commentating and having a political show. And I think he's very nice to these people. I think these people do not deserve how nice he was. I think they are ignorant. I think they are overly emotional. I think they can't actually point to numbers and studies that proves the way that they see the world. It's their feelings and the limiting beliefs that have been passed down from one generation to the next is what they point to. See, they say that the system is racist because they were told that the system is racist, not because it is. They think that white people are a problem because their ancestors were in slavery. That doesn't exist today. You see, there's a fundamental disconnect from what the results show versus what people say, particularly in Black culture. And here's the interesting part. You know it's bad when Black people are so obsessed with white men saying that they are the reason why they can't get ahead when it's Black people killing each other.
Everything I heard, everything I've listened to thus far, think you full of shit.
Give me an example of what I've said that wasn't true.
Let me get to it.
Give me something I said that wasn't true.
I don't think anybody here would disagree that good policing is bad. We're talking about bad policing. We're talking about bullshit policing. We're talking about the kind of policing that puts gentlemen like you and me in prison for unjust crimes. You like to cite that you're a police officer. Let me cite my professional background. Let me cite my professional background.
I have been in that profession.
10 years writing policy in government.
You weren't
at
a
the
police
local
officer.
And
But you weren't a
state of
police
California levels. And
You never arrested
weren't-
anybody.
You didn't write policy. I did.
I enforced the law.
So, okay, I write the law.
you don't enforce the law.
You don't enforce the law.
I
You don't
enforce the
enforce the
law.
law appropriately.
You just made it
You
up.
like to use one-offs. Let me use a one-off.
You don't need to use one off. You just made
in the
it up.
city of San Diego, there was a Black police officer that sued the San Diego Police Department
Anecdotal.
with regard to, I mean, bro, all day you've been coming up with me. Now
I got
it's
statistical data points. Where do you want to go?
Like, I need you to keep that same
Black
energy,
people
bro.
commit
I need you to
over
keep the
half of
same
all violent
energy.
crimes.
And that's the problem with Black conservatives like yourself. You don't know how.
Sorry, I got to pause it there. The problem is Black conservatives tell the truth about what the numbers show. Black liberals refuse to look at the numbers and think it's not a problem. It is the problem. It's the biggest problem. And the fascinating part is they'll never find any solution because they don't know what the problems are. They refuse to accept what the problems are. Okay? I mean, listen, if you only represent technically, 6.9% of the population? So 6.9% of the population is committing half of homicides in the United States of America. Why? Is that because the white man makes them do that? Does the white man put the gun in their hand? Does the white man put the knife in their hand? Now they say, well, Devori, man, you don't get it. See, that this is why Black conservatives, you guys are just, blah, blah, blah. It's not about what we get or not. What do the numbers show? The numbers tell the story. The results tell the story.
Just talking emotionally.
It was
Give me some facts.
me. Well, I'm trying to give you facts.
Okay, come on with it.
You supposed to be a police officer. Hold your head, bro. Hold your head. You interrupted everybody, bro. I got
You're here to
2-3
debate me.
minutes.
I'm not here to listen to you talk in circles.
But you talking like you was a state trooper, you was a Secret
But I know
Service.
cops.
and them.
I know cops all across the country.
But I did too.
I know
I do
policy.
too.
I know all
I do
that.
too.
All right, get to your point.
You don't know policy because you never written one.
This is the fundamental difference, in my opinion, between a conservative and a liberal. Conservatives believe in personal responsibility, cause and effect. You go do X, Y, or Z, you get X, Y, or Z. Liberals don't believe that. They believe you should get X, Y, or Z regardless of what you do. They're stupid. They think that they can control outcomes. They can't. Instead of focusing on root causes, which they definitely don't focus on that either. And circling back to this other point, well, I write policy. Yeah, again, you write policy, but you don't enforce policy. So you're only getting half of the picture. Writing policy is like, hey, I'm going to write this game plan together. I'm the head coach, and I'm going to draw this game plan on how we're going to attack the other team. But I'm not actually on the field attacking the other team. And any head coach worth their salt knows there's a game plan, and then there's what actually happens on the field. Of course, he's not going to accept that nuance either. Let's move to the WNBA, which is known as the Women's National Basketball Association, but it should be called Woke National Basketball Association moving forward because they're not letting up. So ever since Sophie Cunningham stood up for truth, which is boys do not belong in girls' sports for obvious reasons like biology, and let's not forget the difference between the NBA and the WNBA, which is the W standing for women, A lot of WNBA coaches have done the coward thing. So let's hear a summary of what's going on and particularly what happened over the weekend.
This past weekend, the Fever played the Lynx in Minnesota, and some trans activists, you can see here, confront the Sophie Cunningham supporters that were outside. And here is the Minnesota head coach. During the game, she wore a T-shirt that said "Trans kids belong," and she had a mid-court conversation with Sophie before tip-off, saying, "Both of us understand. We have our platforms. We both talked about wanting to, more than anything, educate." She told the reporter, I'm not going to tell you exactly what our conversation is, but there she is on the sidelines wearing the T-shirt, and apparently a lot of the cameras were showing her a lot during the game. Here she is talking about the issues facing women's sports.
The narrative that I think that is problematic is to suggest that, number one, that transgender athletes are the biggest problem in women's sports. And I think this is what's bothersome, is that there's a faction of people in our country that are making this a massive issue. We have some issues. Number one, we need to protect trans kids. Every kid. To me, it's a human rights.
Oh my God. You heard exactly what she said. It's a human rights issue. No, it's a human mental illness issue. So let's correct her there. That's number one. Number two, first she says it's not a big issue. Then she says it is an issue. Let's call it what it is. It's a big issue. And if she wants to find out how big of an issue is, let's just get some NBA players who can no longer play in the NBA to start playing in the WNBA so they can continue to get paid. Let's do it. Who needs the G League? Hey, start playing in the WNBA. Break all records. Let's go ahead and make it happen. Let's do that IQ test. Because these people, they just don't get it. This is what they would need, essentially. They would need to experience the trade-off of their thinking. The reason why they're doubling down on this stuff, guys, is because they have not experienced the consequences yet. They haven't. A lot of these people won't experience the consequences. This is also what's wrong with politics today, and particularly culture. People have a lot of strong opinions, but these are not the individuals who have to face the consequences of those opinions. Anyways, that takes us to this coach, man. So how do we introduce this? This is ESPN, which this is fascinating, right? ESPN essentially is promoting this trash too, which this coach is wearing the shirt that says, trans kids safety or protect trans kids. So ESPN is basically encouraging their audience to hear a documentary on that very topic. Listen to this.
We see Cheryl Reed wearing a shirt today in support of trans kids. Trans kids belong on the shirt. This in the aftermath of Sophie Cunningham's recent comments. We actually saw Cheryl and Sophie speaking at center court.
Even though we know the NBA is truly woke, they wouldn't put up with this. Sooner or later, they'd have to shut it down. Because see, what's happening is two things at the same time. One, there's Sophie Cunningham speaking out, which she really didn't speak out in this dramatic way. It was just some small interview she did with ESPN, and they took one sentence where she said, yeah, I don't believe boys should be playing in girls' sports. And that sentence turned into this whole thing. Now, what's happening at the same time is now the media, because this is what sports media will do. Once they find something that's going to get a lot of people's attention, they hop on it. And that thing that's going to get everybody's attention is a question: do boys should boys be allowed to play in girls' sports? What do you think, Coach? And they've been relentless over and over. They've asked almost every single player they can, any coach they can. They've asked them the same question. This thing is exploding. So then ESPN and their ridiculous commentators are over here doubling down, adding more fuel to the fire. Logically, I think, in my opinion, if I was running this organization, I would have shut this thing down a long time ago. I'll show you an example of what I mean by that. Let's go over here to Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark understands this very well, because I want you to hear her answer to that very question.
I think for us, it's not really a discussion we really have in our locker room. I think it's for leagues and the governing bodies to work with their athletes to find solutions, but our focus is on basketball, and that's what we talk about and how we can get wins, and obviously we didn't do that tonight, so need to find an area to improve in that way.
Do you have any,
That is what you expect NBA players to say quite often, by the way. Yes, you do have some woke ones, there's no doubt. But when I watched, excuse me, when I had watched the NBA, which I don't today, usually this is the proper answer. Hey, listen, right now our focus is on basketball. We didn't get it done today. We turned the ball over, et cetera, et cetera. I think our focus needs to be going back to the locker room and figuring things out. That should be the answer every single time. But because women are naturally emotional, particularly the WNBA, they can't help themselves. They got to feed into it. They got to get swept up into this whole thing. And the problem is it sends the wrong message. It really does. Now, I also believe that Caitlin Clark is really walking around on eggshells in my opinion. I don't think she can. I think she knows what would happen if she did speak out. I think it'd be the end of her. I really do. They already target her. There's no question. They pretty much resent her, whether it is because black women in WNBA are truly racist or they're ignorant or they are resentful and they have hate towards her. It doesn't really matter what it is. The results show that they don't respect her. And the league truly doesn't respect her, not in the way that they should, given the numbers that she brings to the league. I mean, no one would talk about the WNBA if it wasn't for Caitlin Clark. Let's go to that WNBA coach I was telling you about, who didn't hold back. This is why I said women are overly emotional. Here she is saying, absolutely, I support men playing in women's sports.
I know you don't have the fever again in the regular season, but coming out of the break, one of the big news stories has been Sophie Cunningham and the protests for her and protests against her. And, you know, they had a national televised game today and Cheryl, you know, wore a shirt and it's just a conversation. I'm wondering just, what do you think about it? Do you think that's good for the league? Does it detract from the basketball? Is it just noise? I'm just wondering what your opinion is.
I think, thank you for that question. I think just in terms of how I'm seeing it is, if I could answer with, like, for me, sports is about belonging. It's about inclusivity. It's about allowing everyone to be their authentic self. You know, I'm big on that just because I have been criticized for my height, for my ethnicity. I've been in those "you shouldn't belong here" many times. And for me, I don't want that space, especially Golden State, to ever feel like that. So I'm all about women, little girls deserving to play, and that includes trans women. So I'm all about inclusivity.
All right. I could barely hang on for that, but I'll tell you what. Last time I checked, sports was about competition. It was about developing yourself. It's about teamwork and life lessons. It's not about being inclusive. If it was about being inclusive, then people who were waived by NBA teams should be signed again, right? Like nobody should ever get waived. If we're really about being inclusive, you shouldn't be cutting any players. Based on that logic alone, hey, nobody should get cut. In fact, everyone who enters the draft should be drafted. It doesn't work that way. Life doesn't work that way. And let me just explain it this way too. It's a disregard of what I call boundaries. When you don't have boundaries, you get yourself in trouble. We need healthy boundaries in our lives as humans. And boundaries are very simple. Hey, are you a man? Well, we got to set a boundary. You can't play in a women's sport because you'll dominate. There will be no such thing as a competition. There is no competition. The worst NBA player will eat up every single WNBA player, even the best one. They have no chance. But you know what? The WNBA has brought it on themselves. Instead of focusing on growing that organization, growing the revenue of that organization, capitalizing on Caitlin Clark's star power, they're too busy being caught up in stuff like this. So share your thoughts in the comment section below to both of these updates. How did you think of Officer Tatum's performance? I thought he did great. I thought he was really nice to them. And whether that's good or bad, that's up to you. But they didn't make any articulate arguments, in my opinion. They were all overly emotional, interrupting him constantly. And then what do you think of what's happening with the WNBA? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Please subscribe to the channel. Share the show with your family and friends. If you want more updates, especially about what happened in New York City today, click on the next video because it's coming up right now.